Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by MostValuablePodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/MostValuablePodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show.
But Dave, speaking of the Cavaliers, we're going to move on to them, and they got a predicament that they're in. They can't beat the Warriors with Kevin Durant. It's evident. It's like Reggie Miller said today on the Dan Patrick Show, or was yesterday, one of the two. This series that we just saw in the NBA Finals was basically a gentleman's sweep. That's what it was. It was a gentleman's sweep, and the Cavaliers need to do something. However, they don't have a lot of moves that they can do. Like free agency, they're pretty much locked down, basically because of the contracts of Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith being a butt ton of money. They have no free agents coming up this year. However, they have two guys in Tavares and Felder that are not guaranteed, that they can pay some money to and let them walk. Here's the question I asked you. This offseason, should the Cavaliers trade either Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving to help the team in some way to maybe beat the Warriors?
I think they have to. I think that otherwise you're just being complacent, and without adding something, without changing anything, how can you expect a different result? I mean, the Warriors team we saw in the finals was just dominated in every fashion possible. LeBron James averaged a triple-double in the finals.
And nobody even wanted to talk about it. Like, there were some people that mentioned it, but he averaged a triple-double, and that wasn't the thing that we focused on the most. It was the
fact
Warriors.
that you couldn't win more than one game in which the refs were just atrocious in. I mean, it's almost shocking how far the gap is between these two teams. So I don't think that there's anything that you can do to retool this team as is to win a championship. I think that you do actually have to move a piece because of the situation you mentioned with contracts. Tristan Thompson obviously was a staple for them getting up to that point and definitely helped out, especially in that Celtics series. But he was not the Tristan Thompson of old. He was not the guy who dominated the paint for them in the last playoffs. So honestly, it was disappointing from him. It was disappointing from a lot of the role players. I think if you have to move someone, it's Kevin Love's the easy guy because he had a really bad performance to finish out the finals. So I think that when it comes down to it, like, he has the most value left on the table. He's still a young enough guy, and he still has a decent contract, you know? So it comes down to the point where it's like, you're just in the middle. You're, 22 million, 24, 25 mil. That's solid for a player of his caliber. And when he's the number one guy on the team or the number two guy on the team, he can shine. And when he gets to play his style of basketball, again, we've seen it back in the Minnesota days when he's dropping 20-20s all the time. But this is a Cavs system that he does not fit into. His play style, he's tried to adapt to it, but at the end of the day, it's just not the right fit. It's square hole with a round peg. It's not going to work out perfectly for you. So in my mind, Caleb's the odd man out. You might have to, use him plus something to open up options for you, but moving him seems like the most logical option at this time.
Well, and here's the thing that you got to think about too. When it comes to moving either Kyrie or Love, I agree with you. K-Love he's the one that you got to move, because you're not going to look and say, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of our 25-year-old point guard. That's the number 2 LeBron James. Also, let's move the guy that, in case LeBron leaves after next season, could be the guy to still hold down the fort while we figure everything out. Yeah, let's get rid of him. Obviously, Kyrie is not the one that they would look to move. He'd be there. Like, it's an option of, like, maybe if the right offer was there, but it's not going to be there. K-Love is the guy that you're actively looking to shop, because the thing that it looked like in this series was there was, like, one game where K-Love, it's like, wow, he actually got going. And I believe it was the game, he was 3 or 4, where the entire Cavs team got going in that one. It's like, okay, they're going to win this one. Either or, they both had a chance to win the ones at home. The Warriors just stole away from them in Game 3. And the thing that I look at in Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith, the thing that's the worst about them, they're both locked down for 3 years for Tristan Thompson, and 3 years for JR if you decide to give him that last year. It's non-guaranteed that last year at about $15.6 million. You can still give him money and let him walk, and that's what you might do depending on how you are down there. But the thing that I think about with K-Love is what team is going to give you, because you're not going to be able, if you're going to trade for guys, because let's be honest, if you're trading K-Love, you're trading for a veteran, because LeBron James don't play with rookie. He doesn't play with young players.
Correct. There's a reason why Wiggins isn't on this team.
Exactly. And the thing that I was thinking about that a lot of people have mentioned is, man, the Cavs made the right move at the time to win a championship, but they made the wrong move for their longevity, and that was the Wiggins K-Love trade. Bringing in K-Love did its job. Mission accomplished. You got a championship from the Warriors. However, longevity now we're looking at it going, man, I'd like to have that young player on my team, especially how things are playing out in the long term. And with K-Love, everyone's talking, well, they can trade him for Carmelo Anthony. They can trade him for Jimmy Butler, for Paul George, for this vet, for that vet. The thing that I wonder is, because you don't have a high, like, I wonder if one of those teams are going to go, yeah, you know what? We value our guy more than your guy. What draft pick you going to give us? What extra?
They don't have anything. They've already moved every piece they can.
Exactly. Like, this Cavalier team is stuck between a rock and a rock. It's not even a hard place. It's just two things that are not going to move, and the space is like this small, where it's like I can barely wiggle through it.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. I honestly think, like, J.R. Smith's contract probably isn't the worst thing in the world. I know he didn't show up until, like, the end there, but again, he's a streaky three-point shooter who can hit threes. I mean, he has the classic, like, you know how how Clay and Steph have, like, the FU three?
Yeah.
Like, he's like the why the F not.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, because I can. Like, that's just how he goes. So, I mean, getting him involved, we saw the perks of that. It's just, I think that, like, Shumpert is probably the guy who he had, in my mind, one of the worst series, and to the point where I was like, I don't even want to see him on the floor anymore. I think that if you can move him for someone, same rough contract range, might be worth your time. You might have to do like a pick swap and that to get him out of town. But K-Love, for if you want to go for Jimmy, for Paul George, for Carmelo Anthony, I think that's the best chance. And I think out of those three guys we listed, if I'm being realistic, it's probably going to be Carmelo Anthony. I think a lot of it comes back down to the relationship with LeBron James. I think LeBron wouldn't mind playing with any of the three guys, but Carmelo Anthony definitely fits in the most with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. And the way that this team plays, and unfortunately watching this team play, there's such an ISO-heavy team. Like, we're just adding more guys to that. And that's kind of a weird situation, because we're talking about how much success the Warriors are having with this team ball,
basketball,
all this movement, but they do have, KD to rely on when they need to go ISO. If you look at Kyrie Irving, I think he had the most dribbles in, like, the playoff, in that finals matchup. It was like Will Bond was going on about this today on, I want to say, like, Waddle and Silver or something. And it was really interesting concept, because you don't really think about how much time the ball stays in the hands of Kyrie Irving throughout the game. And you'd expect, LeBron James to be the guy, but he gets the ball in his hands. He looks for the open guy. He's a passer. He's a distributor first. Kyrie Irving is more of that ISO player. So I think that if you want to get another piece to go with it, you have to play in kind. And Carmelo Anthony is the right choice. It's just a matter of, like, will the Knicks comply? When's their time right?
And that's one of the things that was brought up from, I want to say it was either Doug Gottlieb or Colin Cowherd on The Herd, where they were talking about CP3, because everyone's like, well, you can move things around. That's the only way, first off, you're getting money if you're the Cavaliers, is you've got to move things around, because you're going to be over in the luxury tax.
Well, they're paying luxury tax regardless.
You're paying it because the cap is at 101 and you're well over that. You've got to move things around. The only thing you can offer a veteran right now is the veteran minimum, which CP3 wouldn't take.
No, somebody else will, but not him.
However, if you want to bring him in, either one of them, Gottlieb or Cowherd, brought up the point of that wouldn't even be a good fit with LeBron, because you'd be having the same problem that the Clippers are having with Blake and CP3, where both of them want the ball in their hand, with LeBron and CP3. Both of those two would want the ball in their hands,
right?
And it doesn't fix the problem that you have right now, where LeBron wants the ball in his hands. In order for Kyrie to do his ISO thing, he needs the ball in his hands. And
so are we saying that Kyrie is the problem with the Cavs?
He might be. And, like, the only reason I say, like, it's weird because K-Love, I can see why it's like, let's get rid of him. He hasn't performed as well as Kyrie and LeBron. Because Kyrie, look at it. When LeBron had 30-some points, Kyrie in some of those games was right behind him.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes Kyrie had more points than LeBron. However, if LeBron's going to go to this, I'm going to pass the ball.
To this, I'm going to pass the ball.
Well, you can't have a guy that's all ISO. You can't have LeBron be your pass first point guard or point forward.
Yep.
And you can't have Kyrie Irving, who's a ISO point guard. So if you, like, I would move K-Love first, but that's why I made the point of if there's an offer out there for Kyrie Irving, I'd look at it. I would look at it. I'd look and go, okay, let's think about this. It wouldn't just be a glance and then no. It would be a, what can this trade do for me? Because, I mean, Kyrie Irving, if you want to keep LeBron in town, you got to beat the Warriors. You got to put a team together that can beat the Warriors, because one thing we know about LeBron, it happened to him the first time in Cleveland. It happened to him at the end of his time in Miami, and it looks like it's happening now. He's starting to feel trapped, and LeBron don't like being trapped.
No.
When he feels trapped, what does he do? Bye, honey, and walks out the door. That's what he does to these NBA teams.
Yeah.
That's what he does to these NBA teams. Bye, and he walks right out the door to the first team that'll take him.
And that's fair. The biggest, for me, like, we're trying to point at one guy or the other to say he's the reason. Honestly, the biggest problem is the lack of a coach. If you had a coach with a system, with a scheme, then you could
not that guy.
No, he's not. He lets them play their game, which credit due. There's something to be said about that, but when your team doesn't have the answers and they turn around and look at you and you're just getting stepped over again, I mean, what you gonna do?
I love that thing. You sent it to me and Sean in the text group where it was the press conference. He just thinks back of that that step over. But yeah, there are so many times I look at Ty Lue and I go, I can't help but compare it to Eric Spoelstra, because that first year with the Heat, we love to make fun of Eric Spoelstra. How, you know what, he's just LeBron's the head coach. But as it went on,
I believed in Spoelstra from the get-go.
Eric Spoelstra knew, like, and developed into that, no, guys, this is what we're doing. I'm the coach. This is the system. And he actually was a coach. Ty Lue isn't a coach.
He has shown us nothing. He's shown us nothing. I think that if they had a solid presence on the sideline, they could run a system, and that it wouldn't be this blame game between Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, or the entirely ghosted bench where, you know, LeBron James sits for 2 minutes and they're minus 13. Like, how is that even possible? How can you not let your best player sit down for 2 minutes without going negative double digits? That's insane to think about. So, but again, it's because you've invested so much money in these three players, and you've rewarded J.R. Smith and you've rewarded Iman Shumpert for 2 years of past performance, which you want to do because, like, hey, you helped us get a championship. We're going to give you yours, because if we don't, we're even in a worse situation because they're still over the cap, so they can still only sign to the vet minimum. So it's like LeBron, I want to say, just LeBron's way of moving from team to team is not great long term. It might get you the ring, which you're happy with. And is that worth going through, you know, a couple years of garbage after because your whole system's screwed up? Maybe it is. I think it is for most teams. I think I would be okay with that.
LeBron's way of building super teams, and I'm going to say that because I don't care what LeBron James says. He's been on a super team before. Maybe not this one, but Miami was. And I'm going to give a shout out to at Ty's B-Ball Slam, who sent out a tweet and then put me in the reply so that I'd see it, and I actually retweeted it. He actually had a good point after the finals. He said Golden State built their team the right way through the draft. When you build through the draft as well as they did, it attracts big-time free agents. This has been happening for the last 30 years. Why is it suddenly wrong? Because the W's have done it better than anyone before. And the way that, like, we're looking two ways of how to build super teams. The Warriors have done it. We're going to draft the guys, let them develop. Like, they had I want to say it was the GM of the Warriors on First Take, and he said, yeah, we took a stab at Steph Curry. and with the ankles and everything, we gave him the prove it to us contract, and he did. Like, that was a gamble that we made. But they went through the due diligence to draft Clay, to draft Draymond Green, to draft Stephon Curry. Whereas LeBron's way of building super teams is, I'm coming to this team, boom, 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 you're coming in. And a lot of times, if you do it like they did in Cleveland, you're trading away K-Love. You're not just trading away young players. I'm not saying that Anthony Bennett would have got you anything, but Andrew Wiggins was a key player that could have developed with
Dion Waiters.
Dion Waiters.
Looking like a flamethrower down there in Miami.
With Miami. Flamethrower for the Heat. I like
you
that.
get that.
But you're also giving away, like we mentioned, I'm like, oh, what about those draft picks? Oh, Ricky, they don't have any. Exactly. You're giving away those. And really what it seems is, like, and I don't want to put this all on LeBron, but it seems like when LeBron, ever since he left Cleveland that first time, when he comes and builds a super team in your city, it's kind of like a future killer. And it kind of mortgages your future.
You are mortgaging your future, but you get that one ring and it doesn't matter.
You're selling your soul to the devil.
I'll take the baby bulls. I'll take the baby bulls for another 3 years for another ring. Absolutely.
You're basically selling your soul to LeBron to get maybe one ring. And
the difference
Cleveland,
is, though, like I get the, we'll give them credit for doing it the right way for the worst. They had a bunch of picks. They panned out.
It's a lot of luck, too.
It's a lot of luck that all of your guys panned out the way they did, and they put together, that 73-win season without KD.
Look at what they did, though. They had Mark Jackson, good coach.
Yep.
They fire him, bring in Steve Kerr. Boom, next level. That first season with Steve Kerr, a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Just with the right coach, which Cleveland doesn't have with Ty Lue.
They do not have a coach. So the thing is also that the unknown factor of being able to pull in someone like Kevin Durant, which unheard of up to this point. I mean, it was LeBron James was the first guy to leave, but you saw why. It was for the system. It was I'm taking Bosch with me. We're going to do this thing up. And this is a guy who's leaving for a team that he lost to, and it was just, that doesn't happen. So saying that, they did it the right way, I'm like, doing it the right way through the draft, sure. The fact they won 73 games with that team and with minor free agent ads that were pivotal, like the Andre Iguodala pickup, credit due there. Getting Kevin Durant and winning a championship is just kind of like, all right, whatever. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to give you too much credit for that because that's not a surprise.
I'm not going to blame him.
Who would say no, though?
Yeah, I'm not going to blame him.
But I'm saying,
for
as far as building a
him.
dynasty, doing it through the draft is the way that the NBA encouraged you to it, because you have that salary control. You have that control over who's going to cost you how much money for the future, how much over the cap can you go in luxury, because regardless, we own this guy's rights. So I think that there's something we said about that, and seeing LeBron go to the next team, just going to say he's probably going to go after once he's an unrestricted free agent again.
Which will be after, I want to say, this next season is when he can walk away.
2018,
he's got the player option, and he's going to decline that.
Yeah, so I'm going to see him going to a team that right now probably has a couple of good young kids on them right now.
So what you're saying is L.A.?
I mean,
what you're saying?
It's one of... I'm not saying it because of that. I'm just saying because the rumor out there is because his family is set in LA.
Out there,
the media is in LA. Everything that you want to do as a professional after the NBA, your life, your career extends off.
Yeah.
LA is the correct place to go. So, I mean, there's been a lot of talk, I think, on The Jump, on ESPN, on even FS1. Waddle and Sylvie haven't covered it yet because they don't care because it's not Chicago. But the thing is, it's not just my crazy idea. This is being talked about for a serious reason.
And here's my question, my mini question about the Lakers is, would he go there because the one thing, and we've seen it with LeBron, if he's going somewhere, he's going there with veteran talent. He ain't going to sit there and teach Andrew Wiggins how to play for 2 years. No. He's getting Kevin Love, who he knows can play.
Maybe you learn the lesson. Maybe you learn the lesson that, hey, that's not sustainable for me. Maybe I go to a team that has some vets on there that some not. Maybe Paul George is already there. Who knows?
Maybe Paul George is already there, but one of the deals that is being said, and this is the one that, because like I mentioned, there's the Melo one, there's the Jimmy Butler one, but the one a lot of people are focusing on, and the Ringer actually had an article about it. It says Cavs want to beat the Warriors, trade Kevin Love for Paul George. I'm putting you in the seat of the Cavaliers.
Sure.
What is your pitch to the Pacers to get Paul George and the key piece is Kevin Love?
Yeah, okay. So if I'm I'm the Cavs.
You're the Cavs, and you want to, like, what would you even
Paul
say?
George's contract is 1 year. Mm-hmm. Kevin Love's contract is 3 years. Now do the math with me here. Paul George ain't going to stay in Indiana after. So you got 3 years of Kevin Love or 1 year of Paul George. Which do you want? And that's it. That's all you got to say.
Just do it straight. If it fits with the cap, you just do it straight
Honestly,
up.
I think that the Cavs are probably getting fleeced in that one because you're not going to re-sign Paul George to a max contract. You're not going to re-sign LeBron James to a max contract unless they win a championship and they also suddenly become best friends. Unexpected but possible. But like, I just don't see that being the best solution unless it's here's one last one for LeBron before he leaves Cleveland again. If they want to do that, sure, that's fine.
Because let's be honest,
Indiana Indiana knows that their time is done. Like Paul George has all but said he's leaving.
And the thing that's and I can't even imagine what it feels like to be a Cavs fan right now. Because we talked for most of this podcast about, because obviously we're Bulls fans, there's still that kind of hope where it's we know we're not going to make the finals. We know we're not going to win the finals. But we can still talk about what our team needs to do and what we're going to pick up here in the future here. If I'm a Cavs fan, my future is, I know if I keep this team, I'm going to the finals. I know if I get Paul George, I'm going to the finals. What makes me win the finals?
Right.
I don't think there's an easy answer to that.
I mean, you get yourself Zaza Pachulia and have him step under somebody, maybe.
Maybe
that's probably your best hope. Honestly, it's like Warriors, Spurs, Cavs, everybody else, and it's a long drop off. And that's
most
the thing.
Of the West and then the East.
I mean, yeah, you know how that works out. But the thing is it's just that the talent gap between teams and talent of players, talent of coaching, the impact of that is crazy. And you're right. The difference is if you swapped K-Love and Paul George, I don't think that it makes that big a difference. Might go to 6 games. That's probably it. I don't foresee Paul George making or breaking that.
It almost did go to 6 games. They brought it within, 5 was the deficit they brought it to
they brought
in the
fairly
fourth
close.
quarter or at the beginning of the fourth quarter of that last game.
The thing is, it's just I don't know how you can contract Magic yourself to a team that can beat this Warriors team if they keep it together. It's it. It's just one of those things where I don't have an answer unless a bunch of guys go really unselfish, take the David West route, ring chaser. I'm going to go get my ring and want to play for LeBron James and team up against the Warriors. But honestly, I see it the other way. I think more people are going to go to I think the Warriors will be so we only have enough money to pay, KD and Steph and Andre Iguodala. And the rest of our guys are going to go. Who wants to come back on contracts for vet minimums for us? I bet you there's a line out the door.
Well, and I mean, the thing, too, with this past year, you can't really, to me, blame management for when it comes to Tristan Thompson and JR, blame management. Those are 2 contracts that are way bigger.
Yeah, they overvalue Tristan's impact.
But the thing I can't blame Cavs management for is this season, if LeBron wanted a guy, they got him. Darren Williams, he wanted a guy like Darren Williams, they got him. He wanted a guy like Corver Bird, they got Corver Bird. That's what they did. And
it's a shame Bogut didn't work out,
53, 59 seconds was all he lasted in Cleveland before he got injured. And I mean, you might be sitting there going, well, if he played, it would have been a different series. Maybe, but like Dave said, it might have only gone to 6 then.
Yeah.
It might have been Warriors
it's one of those
in 6,
cases
like
where
we said.
You just watched it when Golden State was killing it. They had the depth to the bench. They had just every offensive answer. And that was a series where Klay Thompson, we didn't see the best Klay Thompson for, almost any of it.
You didn't need to.
And that's the crazy thing.
All he had to do was play defense.
You watch this series where arguably one of the hottest shooters in the NBA.
Draymond, too.
Doesn't even have to show up.
Draymond didn't have a lot of points either.
Yeah.
But he played some good defense, got them rebounds, fired him up with the tech.
Yeah,
that he got.
Arguing that versus
Steve Kerr got the tech. I forgot. I forgot who.
We
got
didn't want
to
throw out Draymond.
Yeah.
Remember, we're cool with him. Yeah. We're cool with him. No, but when you have to rely on a 34-year-old Channing Frye, a 36-year-old Richard Jefferson to play serious playoff minutes in the finals, you're probably already screwed. And so you're at a point with this Cavs team where you don't have the ability to go out and pay for top-tier free agents. So you have to make a deal to get one of your big 3 out of town to get back some sort of value to make a change, to change the system. You add in a coach who actually has any ability to coach a team. I think they can go back again. Like you said, they're going back to the finals probably, in all likelihood. LeBron could play 40 games next year in the regular season. Wouldn't matter. They're still going to walk back to the finals.
And that's the thing that was most ridiculous. I think it was Carmen and Yurko a week ago or 2 weeks ago were talking, and they're like, the funniest thing about the East is LeBron could sit the entire regular season. The Cavs could be the 8th seed. LeBron, like maybe the last 3 weeks of the season, LeBron starts playing to like get into shape for the playoffs.
Yep.
They could come in as the 8th seed with LeBron and run through the East.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what seed they are.
Clearly, this opens up the possibility that LeBron goes bow on this stuff, and he's going to go play football for the first half of the year.
Goes play with the Cleveland Browns?
Yep. God, I'd feel bad for him. But no, I mean, it's one of those situations. You're right. It's just LeBron is so good that adding him to a team makes him an instant contender. That's why I have that fear that's like, Cleveland can go all in on this next year and make that deal for Paul George and, swing anything else they can in trades and vet minimums and everything. But it's knowing that next year you're risking losing everything but, Kyrie Irving.
Well, and that's why the thing that I think that I'm leaning towards with this Cav team, I know we started with the big question was who do you trade, Kevin Love or Kyrie Irving? I think the guys that I focus on or maybe I look for trading Tristan Thompson and JR just to get those bad contracts off the team. And Shump.
I really hate Shump. I don't know why.
Get those bad contracts. Well, the thing with Shump and the reason why I wouldn't put him in there is Shump, I think you can wait until the trade deadline. And the reason why is he's got this upcoming season and then a player option. You might be saying, well, he's going to decline that option to bank up. And then we can just say, no, you're gone. And then get rid of him that
But again, how many years are you counting on having LeBron James in town for?
Well, one this next season.
That's what I'm saying. So you either go all in for the championship next year or you potentially kiss goodbye, the future and you're stuck with whatever's left.
So if I'm them, Tristan Thompson, JR, and then like you said, I'll throw Shump in there. Try to just trade them to get them off the team to open up cap room.
There's still no cap room on this team.
And then try to see about moving K-Love. You've got to move too many pieces on this team to bring in a guy.
You're pretty much rebuilding an entire team around LeBron and Kyrie in one season. It's a big ask. And if they do none of it, they're still making the finals probably.
And I am totally happy that I am not in the front office for the Cavaliers because I would be sweating right now.
Yeah.
I'd probably be sitting in my office sweating. And one thing, if you guys don't know, I'm not a big drinker, but I would probably be drinking. I'd probably have like a rum and Coke just sitting there going,
what's your answer to sell LeBron on coming back after that?
What? The whole...
If they go next year, they go to the finals, they lose again in the finals.
He's gone. I think no matter... I think unless they win, he's gone. And I don't see them winning. I don't. If the Warriors... Well, if the Warriors... When the Cavs and the Warriors meet again for the 4th time, Warriors will win. Because, unless something happens and the Cavs do trade Kevin Love for Paul George, then we can talk about it. But even with Paul George, I'm not sold that the Cavs can do enough to bring in enough to beat this Warriors team. The only way you're going to beat this Warriors team is if there's a huge injury. Unless you go Tanya Harding on them.
Thank you.
You're not going to win.
That's my reference.
Well, I
made the Zaza one earlier.
I figured you didn't say it, so I'm going to bring in the Tanya.
Unless
you go Tanya on the reigning finals MVP, you're not going to win this game. You're not going to win this series. And the Warriors, we could be looking at our modern day dynasty. They could be set up for a couple more.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I'm saying
that Spurs series could have been really ugly for them, and it could have been over before it even started.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we could be looking.
Don't want to crown their ass.
Well, I did because they just won the finals, so I'll crown their ass all I want, Dave. But any other things with the Cavaliers or with
I feel bad for Sean
because
we're just shitting on his boy K-Love. Yeah, that's mostly
he does love K-Love.
Yeah,
but do you like skinny K-Love or fat K-Love? I'm more of a T-Wolves fat K-Love guy. That's what I am.
Fair enough.
I'm more of a T-Wolves K-Love, but we're going to wrap this up for Behind the Pen. Mike has let us borrow Behind the Pen for long enough to be the therapeutic talk of Bulls draft and Bulls free agency that me and you were talking off microphone, that it's therapeutic whenever we're able to just come in here and talk about the Bulls and then kind of take a look at the Cavaliers and just kind of talk about
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I don't know. I don't have a strict answer, and I know that someone in the comment section is going to go, well, Rick, you asked a question and you don't know what to do. I don't know exactly what to do.
You guys tell us.
I know they could, but yeah, you tell us down below in the comment section. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Ricky Widmer. Dave, he don't tweet. That's why it's Dave_don't_tweet. And then Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Also, besides hitting that like and subscribe button, go ahead and check out patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Want to thank you guys for checking out Behind the Pen, and thanks to Mike Rankin for letting us kind of take over for him while he's off this week. Mike will be back next week, but as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.